Ahoy there, fellow soy boys. My name's Callum, aka Oi Oi Soyboy. Welcome to my cooking show, episode 2. This is my kitchen, and we're going to be making bread. We're currently in a quarantine, which means I can't go outside to buy bread. Luckily, I've got flour, so I'm going to mix it all up with some other things to make the bread to eat. You can also do this at home, even if you're not in quarantine.
First off, start with 500 grams of plain flour or strong bread flour if you have it. As discussed in a previous episode, my scales do not work, so I've guessed 500 grams. Next, a couple of teaspoons of salt, just to give it some flavor. Yum. Get ready for the yeast. 1 7-gram sachet of dried yeast or 2 teaspoons of dried yeast will also work. The yeast makes the bread rise. Stir these dry ingredients up and then make a well in the middle. It's good to use some oil. I'm using Tesco olive oil. It's not really, it's actually Aldi olive oil I put in a Tesco bottle to look fancier. Anyway, 3 tablespoons of that will be real good right now. We're gonna need 300 milliliters of warm water. As you can see, I got 200 mils of cold water, and I'm adding the last 100 of hot water straight from the kettle. Be careful, it's quite hot in the kettle. Now, test if it's too hot. I thought mine could have been a little bit warmer, so I added a bit more, but don't worry, I'll still only use 300 milliliters. I'll just leave a bit less in the bottom when I'm pouring. Add your water to the mix, and then quite simply mix it all together. You can use a spoon, a fork, or a different utensil, or if you want to be really grubby, just use your hands. Now, lightly dust your clean surface with flour. You don't need a huge amount, just enough to prevent the dough from sticking to the surface. Then we're going to throw our dough hunk onto this surface and start kneading. There may be a technique to kneading, but I don't know it. All I do is I squish it up lots and I fold it and I squish it again over and over again until the dough is the texture that I think it should be, and I'll go into that in a moment. The dough will start getting quite elasticy at this stage, and it also a bit more firmness. But keep on kneading. It should take about 10 minutes of good kneading. In the meantime, have a look outside the window. You never know what you may end up seeing. That was nice. Now back to kneading. That's a healthy looking dough ball. Good work. Now get yourself a bowl, could be the same bowl from earlier, and just give it a light coating of oil. This is where you're going to be putting the dough to rise, so you got to make sure it doesn't stick to the walls as it's rising. It'll take an hour or two for the dough to rise good. Just make sure it's in a warm place where the cat can't get it. Now, go to your living room and put on Age of the Empires 2, Age of Kings on your PlayStation 2 or PC. Select your preferred language for the game to be played in. I choose English because I can only speak English. Here you will have some trailer things. You can skip them unless you want to watch, but they take a long time. Maybe the first time watch it, other times not necessary. At this point, you will notice your cat walking into the room and maybe trying to steal food in the kitchen. Don't ignore this, but keep watching out the corner of your eye. If she comes downstairs, acknowledge her. She may be meowing for some food, or she may just want a little scritch on the head. In this case, Maisie's come for a scritch on the head. Very nice. Feel free to leave the game to one side whilst taking care of this cat. Oh, she's rolling over. Gotta make sure to scritch her belly too. Nice. Now that it's been an hour or two, go back to your dough. It should have risen a little bit, but not the full amount yet. At this stage, we're going to prove it and knock it back. So grab the dough and just pull at it and squish it and squash it and give it a slappy slap if you need to. What we're doing here is we're knocking all the air out of the dough, essentially kneading it for a second time. This stage is called the proving. And the proof is in the pudding, and in this case, the pudding is bread. When done, just put it on a parchment-lined baking tray and cover again. This time we'll leave for another hour or so. Now that the dough has been proven, get a load at how much bigger it is. Good. Get a knife and score along the top of it in a pattern you see fit. You can do one line, a cross, or I've done multiple crosses. Let's see how it turns out. Nice. Sprinkle a little bit more flour on top before you put it in the oven. Rub it in, but real gentle like. Just get it in the cracks, but you don't want to press the dough. Set the oven that has been preheated to 220 degrees and put the bread in. It's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes. Now that the bread is all baked through, let's check to make sure it's baked perfectly. Take it out of the oven. Be careful now because it's going to be hot. When you're ready, give it a tippity tap tap on the top. Should sound kind of hollow. Flip it over, tippity tap tap on the bottom. Should sound the same. Very good. Thanks for watching and have fun making the bread. Goodbye now.